Guess who? You miss me?
So Saturdays we always get up early and we do what it is we call our Saturday chores. Very original, right? The main objective to get done this morning was this backyard, dude. I don't know if you guys noticed in the last video, but a lot of it was like really overgrown. Like for the most part the backyard's all dirt, but against the wall and all this stuff, everything was all just really overgrown. And I mean, it already, you know, it's all dirt, but then on top of that with tall weeds and everything, it just looked like crap. So we got it all cleaned up, and doing so I wanted to move the cars out front. And while they're out there I decided, why not? We got them out front, might as well pull the click room out and give them a quick spray, because the Civic had a bunch of bird shit on it for whatever freaking reason. It's like, why don't y'all shit on the damn Bug, bro? Why don't y'all shit on the Volkswagen? Why you gotta shit on the Civic? But yeah, ended up biting me in the ass, because now the Bug is stuck right there and it won't start, and the battery is now dead. I tried using my jump box and it died, and then I tried using the Civic right now, but the Civic just isn't strong enough to jump it, so. So guess what we are doing today, ladies and gentlemen? We are going to be doing a little bit of assembly on this engine, bro. I know, finally, right? Bad news is I'm gonna get as far as I possibly can. I planned on degreeing the cams this weekend as well, because I wanted to get it all assembled, and then I gotta get it to the point that you need it in order to degree the cams, you know, with the head on, timing belt on, all that. But the guy that I am borrowing the dial and set and everything from, he needs it back, so I gotta go and drop it off to him today. I'm gonna wait for my compressor to fill up because it's kind of loud. Yeah.
dirty, derp, 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 diddy, derp, 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 diddy, derp, derp, derp.
Well, first things first, man. I had cleaned all this stuff up at one time. This is all the cam caps and stuff, and these rails. Like, dude, these don't look like I have ever cleaned them. I swear I cleaned them at one time. But anyhow, whether I did or I didn't, they don't look good enough. So I'm gonna actually throw them in a bucket, dude, and let them soak in some degreaser while we're doing all the rest of this stuff, so that whenever we get to them, hopefully we can just kind of wipe all this dirt away, bro, and they'll look good. That's literally all I have. Damn. Well, we'll figure it out later, man. But for now, they'll be soaking in a little bit of degreaser. Is what it is. If I have to scrub them later, then I have to scrub them. I also bought a couple cans of brake parts cleaner, so is what it is. Now this engine was cleaned very well, dude, at S&S Machine Shop before we assembled it. But it has sat for a little while, and it did have a plastic bag over it the entire time. But I do just want to kind of hit the inside of these holes here where the ARP studs are going to be screwing in, just to make sure that there's no dust or anything in there. No, I did not forget about the little oil restrictor. It goes in this hole, man. You guys keep commenting about it. I had to find a new O-ring. If you guys remember, I mentioned it in a few videos. And we got a new O-ring on here, so we're good to go. I'm gonna slide it back in there. We'll lube her up with a little bit of Ultra Slick. Alright, so most of you guys already know, but for those of you who don't, we're putting a B20 VTEC in this car, and that's what we are assembling right now. This is a PR3-3 B16 head, and the block is a B20Z2. So, now in order to run a VTEC head on a non-VTEC block, I know I sound like a broken record, I'm sure, because I can almost guarantee that 90% of you guys watching this already know, but there is a hole on the bottom of the head that actually has to be tapped, and you're supposed to cover it, but this head has actually been welded shut, bro, so it's completely gone, that oil passageway on this head. And it was already like that whenever I got it, so that wasn't me that did it, but whoever did it saved me a little bit of work. But now to supply oil to the head, what I'm doing is running a sandwich adapter for where the oil filter goes. I have a set of ARP head studs, B18c1. Those are the head studs I'm using. Another thing that you're gonna need that is specific to the LS VTEC or B20 VTEC kit is these conversion head dowel pins. There is the part number on that if anybody's wanting to look it up. As far as the head gasket, I went with a Cometic because this is actually an 84.5 millimeter head gasket. And if you didn't know, that's what my block is actually bored out to. Alright, now each one of these head studs, dude, I have my bucket sitting here. I am going to be spraying the threads off with some brake parts cleaner. These are the side that's actually screwing into the block, bro. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that this ARP, the fastener assembly lubricant. This stuff right here, this does not go on the threads that are actually threading into the block, okay? You want these threads to be dry. You want the threads on the block to be dry. You don't want to put any kind of lubricant on these threads here. What I'm going to do is go through, and the threads on each one of these I'm going to hit with the brake parts cleaner just to make sure they're good and clean, and then dry them off before I go screwing these into the block. If you look at these dowel pins, like I mentioned earlier, they're actually tapered. One side's a little bit bigger than the other. It's the smaller side that you want to go into the block. As far as placement, it always goes on the exhaust side. The furthest one's outwards. Exhaust side only. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, bro. That's where they go. There is actually a marking on here that shows up. You want to make sure that that is obviously facing up. Always make sure this oval shaped hole is right here where that oil restrictor is at. You want to make sure everything's lining up and you don't have the head gasket on backwards or something. These little rivets should not be between the block and the head. You want to make sure these little rivets, no matter what, are sticking out the side. Otherwise, you're going to have big ass problems later. Dude, since being that this gasket is manufactured specifically for the LS B20 VTEC, the holes right here where your dowel pins go, they're actually big enough to clear the dowel pin. If you're using a factory head gasket, that wouldn't be the case. You'd actually have to drill that out a little bit bigger. In which taking a drill bit to your brand new head gasket is always a sketchy ass thing, bro. It is time to set the head on the block. Now you might be asking why I haven't put the head studs in. I like to do the head studs after we set the head on the block, and I'll show you the reason why here in a moment. Alright, now whenever you have done head studs, have you guys ever had the problem like trying to get the washer or the nut even down on the head stud down the side of the block? I mean, I know that there's ways of doing it, and I know just like me, a lot of you guys are quite capable of getting it done pretty easily, but I have figured out a way that makes it a lot easier, to be straight up with you. You want to take your lubricant. Now remember that on these studs, the one that has the side that has the Allen wrench, that's the side that faces up. You want to put a little bit of this lubricant on the threads right here. Slide your washer on. Now whenever you put this nut on here, you just want to go down just a few turns. Make sure to get some of that lubricant on the bottom of this washer and then suck it up to the top of the nut, so that whenever you slide this in, you see how the washer stays stuck to the nut there? You can just slide it in like you were sliding in a bolt, dude, and you don't have to worry about lining up, getting the washer and the nut on there later because it's already on there. So now you just slide it in there just like that, and I actually use my Allen wrench socket just to kind of set it in there and spin it in by hand. Just like that, dude, you got your stud in there. It's got the washer and the bolt on it already, so you ain't got to worry about it. It's already lubricated, and it wasn't a pain in the ass, bro. So I hope that helps somebody out there. And if it does, you're welcome. Alright guys, I only have one left I gotta slide into the block, but I wanted to make sure that you guys 100% understand that if you are doing this method, you only want to put the nut on just a couple of threads. You don't want to put it down too far, because whenever you tighten these studs into the block, not the nut, but the actual stud itself. As you tighten it, you don't want the nut to be so far down that it's gonna actually hit the nut whenever you tighten it. You want it to have a gap, dude, otherwise you're gonna end up running into problems. So make sure that that nut, that you're only putting it on a couple of threads. Do not put any lubricant on the threads that are going into the block, dude. I want you to know that those threads inside of the block, those are closed off. They don't lead into anything, so that basically if you put any kind of liquid or any kind of lubricant down the side of there, it can get down beneath this and then cause you to get an inaccurate reading whenever you're actually torquing this stuff down, and you don't want that, bro. It'll be a problem. So make sure that no matter what, dude, I don't care what anybody says, I'm not bullshitting you here, do not put any kind of lubricant on the threads that are going into the block, man, because you will end up having problems. Alright, now the studs themselves, the part that's screwing into the block, ARP tells you to just put them hand tight for the most part, but I want to know that they are equal across the board, you know what I'm saying? So I've actually found through doing research, quite a few people actually do torque these, and what I have learned is that 10 foot-pounds of torque on the stud into the block is what most people recommend. So that's what I'm gonna do, is set my torque wrench to 10 foot-pounds, and I'm gonna set the studs to 10 foot-pounds. So the torque sequence goes as follows: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door.
After I do all of them at 30 foot-pounds, I'm gonna come back and do them all at 60 foot-pounds, and then my final torque will be at 80 foot-pounds. I'm gonna go through and just lightly snug them up really quick, just until it barely touches. I'm gonna go through and set my little clicker to 30 foot-pounds. Have to get my bigger torque wrench out because I don't think that little guy's gonna handle 60. But I'm gonna dial this guy in, and we're gonna go for our second torque spec, which is 60 foot-pounds. Alright, last but not least, because it's actually the most, 80 foot-pounds. Let's go. That was a rough one. Damn! What's going on?
If you want some, never just let me know.
Well, there they are so far, dude. I'm not even done yet, man. And they blinging, bro. They blinging. That's always drove me nuts, bro. I see like the inside of people's engines, like whenever they're assembling it or whatever, like the inside of the head's all clean as hell from the machine shop, of course. And then all this stuff is all like still tarnished and stained yellow. I don't know. For me, I wanted to clean it up and make everything look good again. And so whenever, you know, like if I ever pull the valve cover off or whatever, you know, it doesn't have that stained, tarnished look inside of there. Everything just looks all fresh and clean. But our next step is I got to get this water pump installed. But I want to do the that water neck or tube, whatever, that goes on the back first. This guy right here. I want to do that first, but at the moment I was trying to get this thermostat housing all cleaned up. I'm gonna have to get a new sensor because that one's broken, and this bolt is chewed to shit, bro, and stripped out. God, that looks freaking gross. It looks worse on camera, but it's giving me an opportunity because I've tried vice grips already. I tried a flathead because somebody had cut a groove in it because it looks like someone had problems with it before. I've tried everything and it won't come out, so it's gonna give me the opportunity to use this guy, another one of those tools that my brother gave me. All right, my prediction here is that the vise probably isn't gonna hold this thing very well. I'm afraid to go any tighter because I don't want to crack it. Fucking turn. Oh, look at that. And it worked. Sweet. It's amazing what just a freaking wire brush can do, to aluminum especially. Now this is completely normal, but it drives me freaking nuts, dude. The stupid little things, the small little things that just set me back tremendously. You see the water pump, I have the bolts just kind of snug, but you see how it's able to move? Yeah, That's because there's no dowel pins, bro. Now, through the duration of this entire build, I've had 2 blocks here. The B20 block and the Type R block. There's no dowel pins on the B20 block. There are no dowel pins on the Type R block. And these are both of my old water pumps, dude. Neither one of them have dowel pins. Neither freaking one of them! I looked it up, and they have them at Honda, of course, but I'm afraid that this is probably gonna be one of those dealer items, dude. I'm gonna pull the water pump off really quick, take it with me, and I'm gonna run to Advanced Auto Parts and see if maybe they have a dowel pin that'll fit. But I don't have high hopes, bro. It's probably gonna be a dealer item that I'm gonna have to wait until Monday and go down to Honda and go get. So if that's the case, I'm not gonna be able to do the timing belt or anything today. So, man. Cause remember, dude, the timing belt runs the water pump, and having that little bit of play in it like that, like that's no bueno. I know that's no good, dude. And I don't want to just say screw it, send it, and end up running into a problem later that could possibly cost me my engine. So, I'm gonna run to the auto parts store, take the water pump with me. Hopefully they have maybe some universal dowel pins or something. Grab some dowel pins, stop by Carl's Jr., grab me some 99-cent spicy chicken sandwiches, and then I'll be back. Damn. Man. Got me a monster. So guess what? Guess what? They did not have it. They didn't have it. Oh man, I went running around everywhere, all the auto parts stores, and nobody has the dowel pins, bro. So I'm gonna have to go down on Monday and get dowel pins before I can do anything. So unfortunately, we are done for today. Didn't get too terribly far. I mean, there are a couple things I could do, but I want to put the water pump on. That's it, dude. Peace out, guys. I'm gonna take my chicken sandwiches in there to the computer and start editing, and we'll pick back up after I grab the those damn dowel pins, dude. Later.